on to a public audience of internet enthusiasts. We think you'll agree with us, once you've heard these project ideas, that these are all very deserving projects. Finally, please indulge me for a few moments while I introduce our panel of judges, and then I'll vacate the floor for the presentations you're here to listen to instead of me. Our moderating judge is Freedomhouse Program Director for Internet Freedom, Danilo Bakovic. He's the... You can consider him the Simon Cowell of Internet Freedom. Danilo is from Serbia, and he knows firsthand about successful activism. Next, we have Nigat Dad from Pakistan, who... So Nigat is on a mission to get YouTube unblocked after more than 4 weeks without videos of cute cats. She's also recently launched a new NGO for freedom of expression online. Last but not least, we have Khalid Kuba, who you can find in Tunis. And he's doing what Google public policy managers do. Thank you all, judges, for generously lending us your time and expertise. So without further ado, I'll introduce our first contestant. This is Łukasz Grajewski. He's from Poland, and he's representing the Common Europe Foundation.
Can everybody listen? Yeah. Okay. So, what about the start? Can I start now? Welcome everybody. This is a presentation of Build e-Democracy, Plan and Learn Action. My name is Łukasz Grajewski, and I am a representative of Common Europe Foundation. This is quite young initiative organization from Poland, based 2 years ago. We work mostly with the Eastern Europe, so our main aim is to strengthening the connections between Poland, European Union, and Eastern Europe. Our main project now is eastbook.eu. What about the sound? Is it from this room? Oh, okay, I will continue anyway. So eastbook.eu is a platform for bloggers from Eastern Europe and for people interested in the Eastern Europe. More than 70 authors now, more than 4 language versions. So it's really big initiative talking about the freedom of speech in Eastern Europe region. We have also a contest, so we are almost as good as Freedomhouse, because our contest ngomap.eu is about the best local initiatives in the Eastern Partnership countries. I am showing you those screens to underline that we use internet, we use new media, we use social networks in our actions, so we know how to do this. But for us, internet is about people, so we try to focus on people-to-people contact. So few examples. This is a meeting of NGO Map contest winners in Warsaw. It was a month ago. Here we have some photo from the youth exchange, Polish and Ukrainian students in meeting in Crimea, in Ukraine. It was in September. A lot of conferences, debates organized in 2012. So what is really important, this is our team of, this is our organization. We are all friends from university with the same goals, with the same ideas. We are idealists, I think, still, but we are about how we can improve relations between people from other countries, don't looking on history, more looking into the future and about what we can change. Here is the cloud of hashtags, so please take a look. Hashtags describes what Common Europe Foundation is about, so please take a few seconds to take a look. Going back to the topic, in a March we had a Build Democracy, Not Regime campaign. It was spontaneously made. It was made with our group of friends without any money, without any funding. Without not going into details because I don't have a time, it was about lack of common policy within the European Union countries towards Belarus. So we prepared a game. It looks like Alexander Lukashenko looks like from Mario Bros game, and it was small puzzles to build democracy. And after a game, you have information about the campaign, some movies, films with public figures, like here is Jerzy Buzek, former president of European Parliament, other politicians, journalists talking about freedom in Belarus. So we had also a petition via change.org and option to tweet to your politician within European Union. So it was the main, very spontaneous idea. And when we read information about the possibility of Freedomhouse, we thought that we can somehow continue the idea of our campaign. So what I would like to present to you is a Build E-Democracy. It will be continuation of the form of the campaign because it will be still games, small online games, flash games based on the ideas from the really old classics, like you can see Mario Bros, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Arkanoid. So it's because we all in a team of creators of this campaign, we all love old games. But this is only about form, about the problem which we want to find a solution. It's about threats to internet freedom. So maybe you know this quote from some of United Nations document: everyone, everywhere should have the opportunity to participate, and no one should be excluded from the benefits of the information society offers. And I think we are all here some kind of experts in the field of threats to internet freedom. So I will not describe how many problems we have with internet freedoms. We just received books about Azerbaijan, about bloggers in jail. So. And what I see, that situation is not going better, it's going worse. That's why we have chosen 5 main threats. For us, the very big problem is internet censorship, putting bloggers in a jail, bad law, bribing bloggers, no access to the internet. So the idea of our campaign will be to produce game, and every topic will be another level of a game. And after a short game, we will provide information about specific cases in specific countries, and we will make proposals of little steps, advocacy steps. So to sign a petition, to get in touch with some watchdog organizations, etc. About main aim, to raise a level of knowledge of young people about threats to internet freedom, to make them more reflective about those threats and usage of internet. Why young people? Because we in our organizations, we are quite young still, so we understand young people. I think we know how to work with young people, and we want to work with young people. It's very important to make people more reflective, because I think that in our societies, which are going still more about consumption, about buying things, not thinking about what we are and what we are doing. It's very important to people from different parts of globes, where the situation is maybe good with internet, to provide them internet to provide the informations about the global problems with internet. Yes, this game will be translated in many languages. So the first step, it will be to make this online game. It will be on website builddemocracy.org. But it's only beginning of the work. This is what we call school program, because what we want to do after producing a game, we would like to get in touch with many activists, watchdog organizations, so on, around the world, because through the organizations, through the activists, we can have a contacts to the schools, to the teachers, and on the end to reach our audience, our pupils, students, young internet users. It's not very detailed described, but for me, the age of our audience of the campaign is like people more than 14 years old. It will be made to be understandable for people up to 14. And to show to you that we are kind of professionals, I would like to say why Build e-Democracy campaign will be smart. It will be simple because it will be on browser, the game will be easy, the rules will be easy, and the informations provided will be understandable for not only for the experts, it will be for everyone, some kind interested to getting know about new things. Measurable. We thought that we will map the schools which we will be engaged in our campaign, and we'll make some kind of ranking of the schools. So first rank, the lowest one will be if they will confirm that they will inform pupils about our campaign. It will be the first step. If they will help with the survey which we will produce, it will be another step. So on. I'm going lack of time. Achievable, yes, because we have team ready to make it. Relevant, I think it's really relevant to make it. Timely defined, we will make all of those actions till the end of June 2013. Thank you. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucas. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to hear how you're going to get those young people. You told us the age, the group, you mentioned schools. How you're going to get them to play your game, and why your game?
Okay, so what I would start now here in IGF is to get in touch with different activists from different parts of the globe. So it's a job which I will start now to have a contacts in different countries. When we will have let's say educational kit about our campaign, so some kind of pack of information which will be something added to the game. We will have those contacts to get in touch with the schools in different part of globe, because we will have the game will be translated. We still have a discussion in our team to which languages we should translate our game. It will be a discussion which I would like to ask you about, because it's really important. For example, I don't have a knowledge how to solve a language problem in Africa, so I will ask my friends from Africa to make it prosperous also in a part of world which we don't know. Why schools and why our game?
I'm saying, like, how you will make me to play your game.
To you, I will contact you directly.
Can you repeat, sorry?
About you, I will contact you directly when it will be finished.
My game taste is very picky. Okay, thank you. My next question was about languages, and you already answered. I would like to ask you just one more question. What do you think is the key ingredient for that game to be a success? And that whole educational effort behind the game to be a success. By your, what do you think it's the key ingredient to make it a success?
It's about what I said in the presentation. It's about make people more reflective. I cannot say it's about raising awareness campaign. It's hard to say about a really concrete goals, But what I think about those kind of format of campaign, that we can start from a game, we can start of contacts the schools, and then having a databases of the schools, we can somehow try to make workshops for the pupils, try to make some e-learning for the pupils. So it's the long-term format. It's really easy to continue.
Thank you, Lukasz. Thank you very much. Let's give applause to Lukasz.
Now, who is going to present now? Oh, Gigi.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Łukasz. Next up, we're going to have Kelly Daniel from Uganda. And Kelly is a programs assistant with the Civil Society Coalition on Human Rights and Constitutional Law. Please come up.
Can you turn?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chigonya Daniel from Uganda. I'm going to present Internet Freedom Your Right, My Right project on behalf of the Civil Society Coalition on Human Rights and Constitutional Law. Brief about the coalition. The coalition was formed in 2009 following the tabling of the anti-homosexuality bill, which proposes killing of aggravated homosexuals. Aggravated homosexuals are people who sleep with minors, with a young person, or if you have HIV and you slept with me, then your penalty is death. And if we are two consenting adults, we go for life. We have to serve a sentence in prison, a life sentence. So the coalition was formed to fight against anti-homosexuality bill. But earlier this year, our mandate shifted from looking at the bill as a standalone to also look on other inhuman laws or bills in Parliament and or in another situation. Thus, we are doing more advocacy around human rights now. Introduction. In Uganda, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgenders, intersex, and sex workers communities face a very big digital security problem. This problem comes as a result of the fact that we are targeted as scapegoats by many in our society. Politicians are using us as scapegoats to fulfill their ambitions. Church leaders and many people who are anti-gay in Uganda are using the homosexuality as a platform to get where they want. And our government is not doing much because they are the key people who are leading the group which is stealing our documents, and this they do through hacking in our databases. Just like of recent, they hacked in our database and they got hold of a document we've been using in our work, and now they're using this document to say that whichever organization was present in this meeting, we are going to shut it down for promoting homosexuality. And then we don't have any other space to freely associate. We have to do this online. Because government has shut down meetings, game meetings, you can't hold a game meeting in Uganda. A case in study is a recent closure of the capacity building workshop which was organized by Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Defenders Project at a Stella Hotel. The Minister of Ethics, Father Francis Simon Rokodo, shut it down, claiming that we are promoting homosexuality, but this was a capacity building workshop. So following all this, we adopted having our meetings online, which is also proving to be insecure because now they can hack into our database and get our information. And another problem is that hack into our database in Uganda, we are lucky but not lucky. Most LGBT and sex workers at least own a cell phone. But now these cell phones are also proving to be insecure because the government has decreed that all mobile users register their SIM cards. And this means if the cards are registered, it will be very easy for the government to track down who actually is an homosexual, who is not an homosexual. Because, for example, if I'm an homosexual, the fact that I am, and I called maybe someone here and wanted to walk up, it will be very easy for the government to just trap us down before even we could, get in touch. Freedom of information is a fundamental human right and the touchstone of all the freedoms which the United Nations is concentrated. This was the very first resolution that the United Nations adopted. Before it adopted any resolution or any article, it adopted Resolution 59 Article 1, stating that freedom of information is a fundamental human right and a touchstone of all the freedoms which the United Nations is concentrated. And just like the UN, we at the coalition also believe that freedom of expression, information, association is a fundamental human right. But if we can't do it offline, now we have to do it online. That's why we are proposing the Internet Freedom Right My Right project, which is going to be a 6-month project of the LGBTIs get digital security trainings. The project is going to be managed, and these are going to be the facilitators. Nyanzi Matthias, Chigonya Daniel, that is me, Wokuri Unique Annette. Nyanzi Matthias has a Master's of Science in Information Systems Technology with an option in technology. As a Master's in Information Systems, one option is in Information Technology. Nyanzi Matthias is a bisexual man. He has worked with the coalition on several projects. He was one of the people who led a digital training with the coalition and also other key organizations like the Refugee Law Project and other key organizations in Uganda. I myself, Chigonya Daniel, I have a bachelor's in business administration, his option is management, and I also did digital security trainings with the Freedomhouse while in Nairobi, and I also did other digital security training with the Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Defenders Project, and I also did other digital security Wokuri Unique Annette, Human Rights Defenders Project, and I also did other digital security Wokuri Unique Annette, Africa Human Rights Defenders Project, and I also did other digital security Wokuri Unique Annette, Africa Human Rights Defenders Project, and I also did other digital security Wokuri Unique Annette. Wokuri Unique Annette, a professional doctor. Wokuri also did trainings in digital security with the Eastern Horn of Africa. Did another training in digital security with the Eastern Horn of Africa. Did another training in digital security with the Eastern Horn of Africa. Did another training. Oh, my voice comes twice. Did another training. Wokuri Unique Annette is a professional doctor. She did trainings in digital security with the Eastern Horn of Africa and also with the Civil Society Coalition on Human Rights and Constitutional Law. Unique does activism with a passion. She's a lesbian woman, and she's the new executive director of Freedom and Rome Uganda, a lesbian-led organization. We believe that with the expertise the three persons have, our Internet Freedom team will be a very, very big team to conduct this training. Training content. What we are proposing is simple yet very effective and useful. A digital security training in the best tools that sexual minorities need to protect themselves against data storage, against hacking, against eavesdropping. We are proposing a digital security basics training on day 1, where we shall discuss a person's security in regard to their data either on mobile, on a computer, or in a cloud. We shall discuss how an individual can be secure while using chat rooms or voice over internet protocols. We are proposing email encryption using Thunderbird. Because government is hacking in our email interactions, we have an option. We are going to start having our emails encrypted. So if we train a very large number of people as the project is proposing, we guarantee that our emails will be encrypted. TrueCrypt, where someone can create an invisible disk on their computers and store their sensitive files. We had a case scenario in Uganda this year again. Campus Liberty's offices were raided. Campus Liberty is a gay organization. They are raided and their information was taken from their computers. And then this information was used in a local daily called Kamunye, where they said campus liberty is promoting homosexuality in universities, which wasn't good. They get your information, they exaggerate it. But with through crypting press, we hope that people will be able to share the information safely where government cannot get hold of it. Chat and voice over internet protocol encryption, just as I mentioned earlier, we are doing meetings online. And these meetings are based in chat rooms, which are also proving to be insecure. So we want to provide alternative chat rooms like CryptoCat, GTs, which are encrypted, where we can hold our secure meetings online. We want to discuss how someone can recover from sensitive info using Recover. Many of the times we are forced to delete our files and also empty our recycle bins. This is not because we just want to delete. This is because someone may trade your office, and the best option is to delete everything instantly before they can start checking your laptop. So we want also to cover how someone can recover from that information loss which they do abruptly without their wish. We also want to discover the Malta's online documentation software. We still have a problem as a gay movement and sexual workers movement in Uganda of documentation. Most of the violations happening to us are not documented. So we are proposing also to teach the Malta software to start documenting what is happening to us and to give the world the real truth of what is happening way back in Uganda. We want to discover how someone can destroy sensitive info using ILASA. Before I went to Freedomhouse training in Nairobi, I thought that if you deleted your file, it would be okay. I was thought about Recover. So if we have Recover in place, then you have to have a counter software, which is ILASA, where you can permanently erase a file from your computer that is proving to be insecure or that you don't need anymore. We're also going to discuss that. Mobile security best practices and anonymous browsing. We have the training is very unique in a way that is a domino effect training. The student becomes a teacher and a teacher follows up on a daily basis. This is very possible because we are going to reach participants on one-on-one basis, and they will be able to take on the information to other peers. And then we shall be following up using SurveyMonkey to capture participants' knowledge after the training. And also we are going to provide a survey before the training to see how participants fare via digital security. The training schedule, the project training will take place on 3 consecutive days and will be on location. Just as I told you, the government is shutting down workshops. We can't afford a one-event workshop, which is also very expensive. But we can afford to reach out to small groups of people in their secure places, and the number of people reached after the project will be very great. Will be 144 participants, because we're going to train 6 participants from 24 LGBT and sex workers organizations. The multiplier effect, after training 144 participants, the number of people reached will multiply in a very, very big way, because we know everyone needs the security. You're my friend and you did attend the training, and I know you're insecure. I'll have to train you, and if I don't train you, I'm also becoming insecure. I'll send you a message which is not encrypted, and they'll get your message and they'll know it came from him. So we're hoping of a multiplier effect in this project. Excuse me. Yes, for God and my country, I'm Chigonya Daniel from Uganda. The struggle continues. Thanks for listening to me. Mwebale nnyo.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. I will ask Khalid.
Yeah, and in fact, I have a question about the danger situation of the LGBTI community in Uganda. Is this a question related to the legal framework? I mean, it is forbidden in your country to conduct any homosexuality.
I beg your pardon. I didn't have it said at the start.
I'm asking about the legal framework of the LGBTI community in Uganda.
Our penal code prohibits canon rage against nature, but they don't say what is unnatural and what is natural. But most of the law enforcers have gone ahead to enforce this canon rage against nature law to say that homosexuality is criminal in our constitution. But there's no legal law in Uganda prohibiting any person from holding meetings. But government is just doing it without a law in place. And we are challenging Father Simon Rokodo in court for closing down our meetings. 4 meetings, we are in court with him. And the other thing is that there's a proposed bill in Parliament, which Parliament wants to pass before they go in recess in December. Maybe most of you heard about the scandal our Speaker of Parliament had with the Canadian Foreign Minister. When she came back, she was welcomed like a hero, and Parliament moved a motion to honor her and also to pass the bill before December when they go in holiday. But there's no law prohibiting, they're just doing it illegally, and that's what we are trying to fight, and actually that's what we are fighting.
Thank you very much, Nagat.
Yeah, I'm just, since you are going to address a marginalized community, and issue is very sensitive in your country, so I'm just wondering if you have done any risk assessment of such like project?
We've done risk assessment, not particularly for this project, but for other projects we've been having in Uganda. We know how to be secure, because that's why we opted to meet people in their secure places, as opposed to meeting in an hotel where government can quickly jump on us. Most of these organizations don't have like formal buildings or offices. They are in residential areas, so it's very hard for government to trace that there's a lesbian organization here, there's a gay organization here. That's where we are going to meet, as opposed to public places where government can easily land on us.
Thank you. I have a two-stage question. You mentioned that your organizations are using the databases. My first question is, what type of documentation you're documenting, and what is that work about that government wants to get their hands on? And then the second question would be, once when they get those documents, how they use them against you in the legal or outside the legal processes?
I'll start with your last question, how they use the documents. When they get these documents, they go and do edits, but remember the documents have our signatures below. For example, they may just add a single line. By the end of December, we want to have recruited maybe 300 students, university students. They add it in our work plan. So if they add this in our work plan, it means that if we have a case in court, like the case against the Father Francis Simon Recorder for shutting down our workshops, they can easily present this document and say, look here, in their work plan they want to recruit. And the father is saying he's stopping their workshops because they are recruiting. And the second thing about the databases, the information we keep here is just minutes, maybe from a previous meeting. Because this document actually the government got hold of, there are meetings from our general meeting. The coalition is formed in a way that it's not an organization, but a network of 51 civil society organizations. So they said whichever organization attended this meeting, this game meeting, we are shutting it down. Because homosexuality is unacceptable and illegal in our culture. That's what they say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for Daniel.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Next, now we have Kamal Sedra, an activist from Egypt who represents a regional development organization working in ICTs.
It's okay. I'm so happy to be here to talking about one of my dreams. I'll present Internet Without Borders project. Okay, I'm working as a founder and managing director of DISC. It's a regional Middle East-based organization that works in the field of human rights and freedom of expression. And also I work as a senior technical advisor for ICT for Peace Foundation in Switzerland. Sorry. Okay. DISC Development is a regional organization founded in 2005 to support civil society organizations and activists by provide them with new techniques and knowledge to enhance their capacity to effectively serve the community better. DISC managed over 50 projects. Some of them are regionally and the others are locally in Egypt, Tunisia, Iraq and Lebanon. I get some snapshots of our project. One of them are ushahid.org. It's a platform to monitor the election using Ushahidi. and we work with Ushahidi to develop the second and third version of Ushahidi technology, and also we Arabize the software and put it open source for all for free. And we start this during our old regime till now. We still working. Also, we implement the same idea in Tunisia and Libya. Next project is website also is nazaha-eg.net. It's consider in it's working to highlight the corruption issues in Egypt, and I hope soon will work in Middle East. We got a prize from e-Democracy Forum and the Politics Online as one of the top 10 websites who changed the politics and world in 2009 for this website, because it attract a lot of people, a lot of traffics, and also we make a lot of success stories in this issue in Egypt. And also Aswatna-EG, we started this website in 2005 as platform for voter education, and it was the first idea to make voter education online in Egypt. Another project, we have also an e-learning platform called NGO School. It's now we work in all over the Egypt. We have 2 offices, and also we have a lot of trainings for NGOs and activists. And we broadcast all the trainings online, and after we finish the trainings, we edited the videos and then put it in YouTube and the website for free for all. We have now under construction eintrucher.org. It's a regional website will work in Trucher. And EgyTube, it's another project we built like a YouTube for Egyptian activists, and we learn them how to record videos by mobiles to present their local problems, and we make like a competition in our website, and a lot of several trainings in a lot of Middle East countries about most of them about new media technology and digital security. At the beginning, I want to highlight the situation in our region in Middle East and North Africa. This from Freedomhouse last report 2012. You will find that most of the countries is over 50. It's mean a lot of problems for the internet freedom. And the next slide, it's mean we go down. Now after the Arab Spring, Arab activists are face problems more than before. It's not words I said, but you can follow a lot of news about. Till now, our president, as example in Egypt, he released a lot of people from the jail, but he didn't release most of the freedom of expression or internet activists which write their ideas online. The project is seek to contribute the internet freedom to the Middle East and North Africa, provide NGOs, young cadres, activists, and bloggers with the necessary instrument and skills which enable them to employ digital security tools to effectively protect their data and electronic sites against attacks and blocking. Our project target is 3 main areas: NGO, young cadres, activists, and bloggers, which increased many times after the revolution. A lot of people were not involved in our public life or in politics, but after our revolution in Egypt and in Arab Spring in Tunisia and a lot of countries, most of the people now is interested to be online, and maybe 95% of them don't know what's the meaning of digital security and what they can do to save themselves. The project is two main activity. First activity is interactive platform in Arabic and attached to social networks like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This will take about 2 months, and after these 2 months, Desk will take care about the website, like a lot of websites. So we didn't close any website from 2005. Even the project is closed, like Nazaha you see or Yushahid, it's still working. This website will contain online tips, list of the necessary software with Arabic easy manuals, online support, and news, links to international organizations which are active in this field. I saw a lot of websites online that talk about digital security. Most of them are English and a little bit Arabic websites. And what I faced in our training, that most of the people cannot understand the language which which in these websites, especially the new users of the internet. For them, it's very difficult. That's what I'm trying to put in our website, is to make this language easy to understand from non-professionals people in risk. The other activity is 2 TOT training workshop, one in Egypt and one in Tunisia. Every training will be 3 days for 25 participants during the 3 months. This training will give them advanced training for not beginners, but it's for active people and these trainees will participate after that to our website to make the technical support for others. So we need to train trainers to go to their countries, and then they can help their colleagues and their friends, even if they are not their friends, but they are friends online, so they can support online. We will train them in, as we understand it from malware and hacking programs, protection their information from physical threats, basic tips about secure password protection, sensitive data, anonymity, mobile security, access block websites, and secure online communication like email secure or chat, voice, or even texts. That's all.
Thank you very much, Kamal. Thank you. Nagad?
I was just thinking that you said that you are going to put these training videos on YouTube, right? How you are going to, like, the people who are in the trainings, how you are going to protect their identity?
As our experience, we only record the trainer, not the trainees. For 3 days of training about strategic planning, we have only 1 hour of training. We put it in 10 videos. Every video is 10 minutes. So we didn't record the questions. We didn't record anything. We only record the training to be as an e-learning module, not to.
So it's the module, right?
Yes.
You are talking about, right?
Thank you, Nagad. One question from me. Why digital security tools now? I mean, in Tunisia and Egypt today. Why? What are the threats? Are they bigger than they were, or they are smaller, or what's happening? Can you give us some insight?
Okay. First of all, the website will be for Arab-speaking people, not only Tunisia and Egypt. But I select Tunisia and Egypt. We have a lot because there is a lot of good activists there. They can support our website. Maybe now in Egypt is not that before. But I think in the future, near future, and I already worked with a lot of people from Syria, from Lebanon, and from Morocco, and from Western Sahara, Libya, Yemeni. All of these people need information easy to understand and easy to be applicable, because I am a trainer and I train digital security for a lot of Arab countries. And when I visit, all what I said to them is new. And if they are not good users, they face a lot of difficulty to understand. If I want to make easy to use for all Arab countries, and I don't think in the near future our region will be stable. You need to take care as an activist when you start to be an activist online.
And one last question. I mean, who is your audience? Since that you mentioned that you work in a lot of or many Arabic countries, and those organizations, I assume that they're all different profiles. Can you tell us a little bit who was on your trainings and who is your main audience? I mean, by the type of their work, scope of their work.
I'll give some example. We started in 2007 a program for youth. It's called I don't remember the name, but to bring youth to be participated in public life. We targeted in Egypt 35,000 youth by smart program. We train 15 trainer with the program called the Bridge Project from United Nations, and then they train 500 youth leader, and the 500 youth user train their colleagues. In Egypt, our NGO school till now, after 2 years of working, we trained 2,200 NGO all over the Egypt. In Tunisia, I implement a project for 2 projects. One of the 2 for monitoring the elections there, and I met maybe every place in Tunisia for training and consultation with a lot of NGOs, especially youth organizations, which started after the revolution. In Lebanon, there is a lot of groups. I cannot say it's an organization and it's secret. And
It's
also
okay,
in
yeah.
Western Sahara the same.
Thank you. And Negad, I have one short question.
Yeah. There will be 2 TOTs, one in Tunisia and one in Egypt, right? So what will be your follow-up strategy after these TOTs?
It's like a code in my organization that we start the training and it will not end. That we are online support. Our Facebook page in Facebook, it's 102,000 fellow in our Facebook page. That's why in every training we tell the people to go, and we are continuous support. If you ask any question anytime, you will find us. And also these people we will work with, they will participate in our website like an admin to support the others. We have experience to make a secure websites because most of our websites are sensitive, and we can hide their identity and give them a new identity they can talk. And I think from my experience in these 2 countries especially, we have a very good colleagues and friends there. And all of them, I think they will support as they do in a lot of projects with me. Most of my projects, I depend on volunteers, especially election monitoring. I have thousands of volunteers working with us. I think it's from this experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamal. Next up, we have Tai Tai Ang from Myanmar, Burma, and she's a program manager with the Myanmar ICT for Development organization. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tak Tak Aung from Myanmar. I come to represent an organization called Myanmar ICT for Development. And actually, I have a more fancy presentation than this. But my colleagues from back home couldn't send me in time, maybe because their internet went down. So it makes me want to push this issue on internet freedom more. Okay. Before presenting about the project, I want to introduce about the organization I'm working for. Before starting this Myanmar ICT for Development, or we call MIDO in short, we were from a group of Myanmar Blogger Society. Myanmar Blogger Society played a big role during 2007 Saffron Revolution, where most of the information which is happening within the country, it's leaked by most of the people from the MBS. So after that, we were regarded as blacklists. Some of our friends were arrested, and internet were censored, blogs were censored, and the main blogging platform that we use were censored. So since that time, we started working on freedom of expression online and rights to information online. And after 2010, after our election, we felt that we must involve more in this democratic transition to make to help it in order not to turn backwards. So we formed a group called MIDO, and we focus more on empowering citizens with building capacity building on ICT and advocate and encourage stakeholders to develop user-centered ICT and internet policy. So what we do is we do capacity building programs, we work on digital rights, and we advocate. So we give, as a MIDO, we give trainings particularly to political parties, journalists, civil societies, and NGOs and activists around the country. And we also initiated a campaign called Protect Us, which focused more on internet user rights. So why are we doing this Internet Freedom Forum? We believe that internet is a unique place to practice democracy and human rights. So promoting internet freedom in our country is also like promoting democracy and human rights for our country. And for internet freedom, the very basic block is the access to internet. In a country of a population of over 50 million, we have only 2% of internet penetration rate. And it just increased because due to the mobile network, mobile data network that the government has opened a year ago. And our country also had the national bandwidth of total of 4 gigabyte for the whole country. So we can say that internet accessibility rate is very low there. And also Myanmar is always in the previous time, it's in the dark zone of the internet. And by Freedomhouse recently reports, it has been listed as not free, and by Reporters Without Borders, it was listed as the enemy of the internet. So internet freedom issue is a very big issue that we must address in our country. And during the recent speech by our president when he was at the UN, he stated that Myanmar is now enjoying internet freedom. But he was quite wrong, because he was just saying that Myanmar is free because the government has ceased internet censorship. But that doesn't mean that internet freedom, that we are enjoying internet freedom, because we have only a little bit of chance of rights to access, and then we are still being surveillance, monitored, and there's still self-censorship within our mindset. So we can say that internet freedom is not what we are enjoying in the country. So as to make a spotlight of this issue, we planned to hold an Internet Freedom Forum in Myanmar, which participants mainly coming from cyber activists, netizens, journalists, civil societies, and other human rights defenders. So they will be voicing their says about internet issues on that forum. So we will be making a report, surveys from that forum, so that will be added as a hard evidence for us to advocate for that issue in the future. This is the websites of internetfreedom.org, and recently I was searching about it and it was blocked access tonight. And the goal of our project is to promote and encourage internet freedom and to foster internet rights as human rights in Myanmar. So these are the objectives, and we will do our Internet Freedom Forum, and after that we will be doing a report of Myanmar internet freedom issues, and then we will be building a network to monitor internet censorship around the country, because in Myanmar there's a different censorship policy for every city and every service provider that is given. So it is not possible to track them without using this crowd participation. So we will be building a network with the participants coming in to the Internet Freedom Forum, and then we will be reporting monthly about the reports of that. And also we will be doing public awareness through media, through social media and things like that too. So why are we doing this? Why us? What is our capacity of doing this? So we are known as a as a group campaigning on Myanmar for freedom of expression issues, and we have also held other seminars, events, workshops successfully, and we had also co-organized Barcamp Yangon, which was stated as world biggest, with the appearance of Daw Aung San Suu Kyi talking about ICT. And we also have very good media attention on our group. So even if we did this forum or not, we are contacted by local medias when we was doing our social media advertising to vote for our project. So this was from the local media covering about our project by Freedomhouse, and this was the same too, our project covered by the local medias. And this was the events that we had held successfully before. So even if we win this contest or not, I already felt that we are the winners, because we already have spotlights in our home country about starting working on these issues. And I'm very honored to be here, to be presenting with all these wonderful, great projects. And then myself is very happy to be here to join this big IGF too. So I already felt that I'm a winner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tai Tai. I will turn to Halad.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation, and good luck for Myanmar and all the internet users in Myanmar. We know that the situation there is not so easy. So my question is related mainly to the risk assessment. In fact, I mean, knowing the situation in Myanmar, I think you guys, if you will do this, you will probably have persons injured or jailed or whatever. So what is did you have any evaluation of the risk that you are taking in doing such project?
The risks of us will be also our opportunity, because this is the time when our government is trying so hard to build the image within the international community. So if something, if any risks or happens during our event or doing the project, it will highlight the issue more, and then our risks will more like be our opportunity for that.
Thank you. Nega, do you have a question? I have something along those lines. I mean, looking in organizing the first multi-stakeholder forum in Myanmar, what do you think is the biggest challenge, or what would be the biggest challenge to make it a success?
Previously, we thought the biggest challenge for us will be having a permit to hold such a big event, because we need permission from the authorities to gather more than 5 people. But now the government, the political situation is opening, and I think it's a good time for us to hold such an event, and it will be a big stepping stone about addressing the issue on internet freedom in our country.
And I have two more questions. One is more, you mentioned that every city is having its own censorship policy. Can you just give us a gist? How is that? Is that based on the ISP policies? Are the ISPs the ones that are implementing those, or why is that?
We have a main national gateway, and then we have a multiple local service provider, and from the local service provider, they have main offices in different cities that they provide the service. So each and every one of those cities, they have just like I've stated, has a different censorship policy, because when I'm in Yangon, Blogger is open, www.blogger is open. But when I was in Mandalay, Blogger is it's inaccessible. And we also have surveillance things like, especially in Mandalay, we found that there are man in the certificate errors, like man in the middle attack for especially for Gmails. So we can say that each city has its own different policy.
And one last question.
Yes.
Would be Myanmar yesterday and Myanmar today, and we talk about internet. What changed? And you mentioned that changing the government policies to look good, and we are all witnessing the very promising path. Although we all have some back thoughts, but we all hope that it will continue. So, can you give us, people that do not follow Myanmar closely, what changed in the terms of your work for better currently?
In our work, in our world, everything is different from one week to another. It's changing very rapidly. The most significant thing that we face is now we are allowed to be officially registered as an NGO, but in the later we are not. So I think that is a big impact for us, so that we can work and focus more on our work.
Thank you very much, Tai Tai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tai Tai. So up next we have Anas Halali. Anas fled Syria because of persecution he faced after posting something on Facebook. And he now lives in Dubai, and he works with a group of Syrian cyber activists to support internet users in repressive countries. Thank you.
Ladies,
just a second. Yeah,
ladies
we
and
have
gentlemen, thank you for being here. My name is Anas. I would have loved to say that I am from somewhere. Previously, previously the project would have been under the Syrian Center of Media and Free Speech, but the founder, Mazen Darwish, is in prison, hopefully alive. We don't know details, and all the others either in prison or left the country. So now I'm representing myself and a team of technical people. I'm pitching for the project that we call Virtus Linux. It's already there. I will explain. This is the version 2 of the software. Of course, I will not talk much about politics, because most of you already know what is happening now in Syria. Just a quick, brief numbers. Since the start of revolution, we have around 40,000 casualties. Of them, more than 1,000 being killed in prison. They were inside the prison. We don't know how much of these people actually were captured based on the practices that the government impose. Actually, what they have a lot of high technology and sophisticated equipment, probably from Western countries as well as from Iran and China. They have this deep packet inspection, which enables them to know exactly what you're doing, what is the traffic, for the stream of traffic on the internet. Man in the middle, where they impose to be a source of trusted intermediate between someone and the website that you're trying to browse, malwares, and of course internet cafes are all monitored, and there's some paid huge number of people that they call themselves the electronic army, the Syrian electronic army, that always try to polish the Syrian government in the media, Twitter, or they try to flood or bomber hashtags for Twitters and other or YouTube or other social medias, as well as getting passwords for accounts under torture. It has been reported for many people who were imprisoned and then let out. They have imposed very severe ways of torture to just extract some passwords for them. What they want is to get the activist account, so they know who his friends are, what are the communication they're exchanging, so that also... They cannot hear me? Yeah. and what are the emails, not a communication method of communication, or maybe places for meetings and stuff like this. What is Virtus and why is Virtus? Actually, Virtus is a live operating system based on Linux. So it's open source and it's free. Why? Because it hides tracks offline and online. For offline, once the okay, just a quick live means here for non-technical people. Live operating system means that you don't have to actually install it on your computer. You can run it from any external media like a USB or CD. Once you stop using that software, you just need to extract the CD or just unplug the USB, and everything that you've done has disappeared. Everything, they cannot just take the laptop and see what you've done. Online, it provides secure connection by encryption, like hiding that stream of data that is going from your computer to the target server or wherever your target is. The most important thing is it is tested to work within the Syrian blockage, because we have users inside who can just report to us that now it's working, they change this, it's not working, and then we quickly try to find a workaround for this. Supports multimedia. I will explain later why this is very important. And this is the team I'm talking about. We have many people who are already inside Syria who are using this for day-to-day, so we had good feedback, quick updates whenever we need. Okay, some might say we have already some similar solutions out there, so like the Tor and the Tails. Why do we need to get another system? Actually, we are not reinventing the wheel, but these systems, they have limitations when it comes to Syria. The one major reason for people not like using Tor in Syria, it does not support video. And YouTube has become the #1 reporting tool for the citizen journalists. As you all know, there's no, let's say, there's no independent press allowed in Syria since last year. No Jazeera, no CNN, no BBC, none of them. They only allowed the supporting the internal local media and the Irani media. So people took it with their mobiles on their hand cams and they posted online. Because Tor and Tails, they do not allow usage of video, then it's not like many people refrain from using, and that will cause they will jeopardize their own safety and security. Also, of course, there's a very limited support for different type of encryptions, slow speed or bandwidth, because it relies on others. It does not have a dedicated server for itself. The updates in regarding the Syrian issue, I'm not talking updates in general, in regarding Syrian issues, it's not as quick as the Virtus, because we are in direct contact. If there's any update needed for Tor, it might take some time to be issued. The Virtus 2, now we have the Virtus up and running, working fine. Now we're proposing to have the Virtus 2, which is having our own dedicated servers to host the connections, and it will still use the Tor. If some user still wants to use the previous method, it will still use that one. We worked a lot on the interface. I will show you some screenshots ahead, how it's different between the second and the first version. And we have many more tools that are built in for citizen journalists. They have video editing built in the system. They have something, spreadsheet, word processor, whatever tools that someone might need for day-to-day work. As well as instant messaging for easy communication between parties. Complete solution to reducing the pressure, the pressure on the server. We have tried our best to minimize the traffic so that we can serve more people with the same amount of bandwidth that we have. The VPN, quickly, I will not go into details with these, but the encryption methods that we are going to implement within the VPN network that we're proposing. And how we are going to support users. Actually, we have a lot of one-on-one team members who are already doing this kind of support. These three names are like, this is myself, Delshad is the founder and who is the main programmer, and Hamid also is a part of the member. The others, I cannot mention their names because many of them are still in Syria and we don't want them to have any troubles. We will establish an Arabic and English website. We will also create forums and a ticketing system if you have a problem that you can submit, emails, and social media as well, Facebook pages, Google Plus pages, Twitters, etc. We plan ahead to have a third version, Virtus, which is actually when it will be, the Virtus 2 will be in use, for sure the government will try to just block it, and then we will have to always keep on introducing new ways to bypass their regulations. Also to update the tools, and we are planning, since it's already up and running and well stable, we can add extra languages. One of the colleagues that we have is Kurdish, so he also knows Kurdish very well, so he can also add a third language, which is just the interface. And fine-tune performance just to get faster services. The Virtus team, without mentioning proper names, just it will consist of these people. If we get the fund from the incubator, this is how we're going to invest it. We have developers, we have equipment that we need to rent some servers online. We have some travels that we need to meet sometimes because all the team are out of Syria and they are scattered in different locations, and like other expenses. And this is the total funding for the project. This part is the IGF incubator, the Freedomhouse incubator, if we got the prize. And the others we managed to secure from Internews. We have some donations, and we have other donations either by us or someone else. This is the current version of the Virtus 1. This is the logo, and this is the interface of the Virtus 2. Some screenshots, the different VPN connections. Thank you very much. Just one last question. Before the end of this conference, the final version will be up and hosted on the server. We already have the server, it's just the storage there, but we're just like uploading. But we have some problems due to the time differences between the people who are trying to communicate with each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nas, very much. I will turn to Megad.
Yeah, it was wonderful presentation. I really like it. So I have a question that why Linux only? Why not Windows and Mac?
Okay, good question. The reason is Linux is an open source and free. As current situation in Syria, to be honest, we don't have a copyright protection. So a Windows copy equals as much as a Linux copy. But on the long term, if we're going to have like adaptation worldwide, you would have to pay Microsoft for the license of Microsoft or for the Windows or the Mac OS, which is also limited to the hardware itself. So Linux is like cross-platform. Now we're talking about Linux versus other operating system, but Linux is a cross-platform. You can use it on a Mac if you want. You can use it on a PC. You can use it wherever you want. Also, the thing that is very important, which is open source. It's easy to modify or edit the source if we need to change anything of the system. While for Microsoft, if we need to change or alter anything, they will not provide source code. That they're secret of trade, so that it's a closed box. We don't know much about the environment. I hope I answered.
How you will get access to your targeted audience, since you are in Dubai and you have scattered team in Syria? So
we have already a team. We have already more than 1,500 users for the version 1, and we just cannot promote it much more because now it will just throttle each other. If the link, the people say it will have slow performance, we fear that they will abandon the project. So we don't want to just let the next version out unless we have secured something that we can improve the performance, so that if we have many users, they will not interfere with each other performance like the network here earlier. Too many users using the same bandwidth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any question?
Yeah, I liked the presentation as well, and I have many questions, in fact. The first question is about the, you said people will use it through a USB key. So what kind of personal information will be put it in the USB key or archived? And also the question is if by any opportunity or problem this person will lose the USB key, and if it turns to anyone from the region, Syrian regime, and he will find the software itself, is this will be dangerous for your core system or not?
No, actually, I will answer the second question, then the first one. The second question is, if this USB, the source, or let's say the application itself, since it's an open source, we are about to keep it as an open source, so anyone can have a look. It's already hosted in SourceForge, so anyone can download it from there, so they don't need to have the key itself. There's no personal anything stored in this. What you do is just download it. There's steps that how you can make this USB bootable. You plug it into your computer, you turn on, you're up. Your accounts, your passwords, and everything, you have to like memorize them or keep them in your mind. We're just providing the means or the tools for you to connect safely. And if someone like, and it happens a lot, they will say, okay, there's a raid in this area, like in 5 or 10 minutes. They can see, just like unplug it, and you keep your standard, whatever Mac OS or Windows you have. It's very legitimate, even if you want to have some games and whatever on that. So you will not be any suspicious. You do not look any suspicious to them. So.
Okay, I have another question in regards to the project itself. So you said that the version 1 is already running and you have more than 15,000 users.
1,500 users.
1,500 users in Syria. What is the reason why you are here today? If you have already developed the version 2 and you have a team, I mean, what is why? How you can convince as judge that we need to accept your project? If not, I mean, there will be a dangerous situation for the project or for the team or whatever.
Okay. The 1,500 users is like the top that this system as it is can hold. More than that, it will like I said, will start throttling each other. The Virtus 2 mainly will be focused on having our own servers for keeping our own VPN servers, so that we can serve much more users without worrying about it will be like affecting each other users. So let's say we want to have 1,000 users. With the current thing that we have, we cannot afford that, because they will start reporting that it's not working, it's very slow, it's slower than before. We need to have this investment in, mostly it will be in the servers, so that we can serve more connections and everyone will be able to use the service that we're providing. I hope I have answered.
Thank you. Just one more quick question for the people that are not tech savvy. I assume that this Virtus Linux is based on the Ubuntu, right?
Yes.
Because there was a slide, and then the second question, actually just I think that your second version is kind of mimicking Windows. Is that on purpose?
Actually, yes, because most of the users, like I said, we don't have copyright protections there, so price of Microsoft Windows copy is like nothing. So people are used to Microsoft. If you tell them that you need, for your own security, you have to learn a new thing, most of them are not technical people. So we try to make it as friendly as possible. We also have on the desktop, if you've seen that previous, I'm not sure if it's very visible. Okay, here it's not visible, but here, I'm sorry. Here it says in Arabic, تعليمات استخدام. So it's even Arabic, simple way to just try to go around with this if it's a new environment to you or whatever.
Thank you very much, Anas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anas. Our next to last presentation comes from Edmund Yakani, who is the Executive Director at the, Civil Community Empowerment for Progress organization in the world's newest country, South Sudan.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as she introduced me, my name is Edmund Yakani. I work as a coordinator with SEPO. I come from South Sudan. Our project is mainly looking at advocacy and awareness raising on legal framework. Our targeted audience is 50 civil society and activists. Our indirect beneficiaries will be the internet users family in general. And the context of my country, South Sudan, we have not signed any international treaties on human rights, whether at UN level or AU. Secondly, our constitution have recognized human rights in the Bill of Rights. Among them is the freedom of expression, association, assembly, rights of access to information. And South Sudan will have general election in 2015. And we have a delay in registration of political parties, so yet we have a one-party system. So that creates for us this problem in regard to internet freedom. Our constitution have controversial provisions, such as national security against public interest. What does it mean? Nobody knows. But with that, it's been used against internet freedom activists. Like right now, we have 5 activists which are not using whether Facebook or Twitter. I'm one of them. And then due to lack of legal framework like media bill or cyber law, these have created really limitation to access to freedom of internet. For instance, the government is licensing internet providers at high price, and that will have limited access to internet services. So the needs that we feel need to be delivered is one, to sensitize the civil society and the community at large on the freedom of internet. Secondly is to raise advocacy and lobby for legal framework on internet freedom in the constitution and national bills like the media, the national security, the cyber registration regulations. These are opportunities available for us in South Sudan. One, South Sudan is in process of making a permanent constitution. A commission is already formed, and we have won 5 seats in the commission. The media bill is now under public hearing in South Sudan. Our country is developing soon national security bill under Adam Smith, a British firm which is running the bill. Soon we are going to review the internet registration regulations. And then our organization, SEPO, we have a website which is registered in a foreign country because due to absence of legal framework. And then it's been managed by 4 volunteers who are IT experts. Our goal is really to create understanding on the access to information and sharing through functional websites and other social media. Our specific objective is one, to raise awareness on the right to access to information in the civil society role in building a nation through having that advanced technology, to train the activists on digital security, risk assessment, and management techniques, and then to support SEPO website to publish the work of human rights defenders, and then legal framework. These are key activities. We shall conduct campaigns regarding the legal framework and access to internet. We shall create a platform of website where at least provide people to discuss issues of freedom of internet, and then shall conduct trainings on digital security, risk assessment, management, internet freedom, advocacy, and lobby skills. These are things that which will add or will mark our work. We're going to have a media campaign articles and messages, debate topics. We're going to print out sample of legal framework which work in other countries. Our expected results are, 1 is internet freedom is granted by constitution or bill. 2, free internet website that everyone can learn, can gain knowledge and ideas. And then we're going to raise up debates on internet freedom, human rights defenders protection bill to start. And then that's so citizens of South Sudan to realize that and recognize that internet is a new platform for expressing their freedoms and rights. Our indicators is that legal framework on internet freedom is secured by the constitution or the bills. We have a lot of bills coming up. And then free space for internet services is created. Number of debates on internet freedom, human rights defenders protection is increased. Number of South Sudanese have a knowledge on the importance of internet freedom. This is our experience. We have been running for 3 years internet cyber with a website which is free for civil society and activists. It's funded by Accord. Accord is an organization, a British organization. And then also we have a strength of advocacy and lobby. With the strengths, we are able to establish South Sudan Human Rights Defenders Network. It's currently existing. And we have worked with Adam Smith International on security sector reform for the last year. And we have professional IT volunteers available. So you may ask me, are there no risk in this project? We have risk. One of the risk is that security organs may tamper with this project, but we have at least national stakeholders like Parliament, like UN, Mission in South Sudan. We're going to use them, Adam Smith, and EU Human Rights Facility. We may have logistics of getting out to the remote areas because infrastructure is bad, but we can use UN flights. What do we need? Just we need $15,000 to make this dream realize. You may ask us, can we manage this money? At least we have a board of trustees, and then even including you're going to be our beneficiaries online as we put up the project. You're going to observe the project. I'm going to ensure the project is managed properly. We have James Hitler, not Hitler of German. This is our Hitler in South Sudan. He will manage the project activities. We have Alice, who is an M&E officer, will manage the project on timely line. And then we're using computerized financial system by our accountant. At the end of the day, this, as I said, you may ask, who are we? Thank you very much for listening. I wish you support all the questions of internet human rights legal framework. We shall obtain the new country in a new law so that we can use it as a sample in other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund. Thank you very much. You got no questions? Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for your presentation. So my question is related to the internet itself in South Sudan. How the internet looks like in South Sudan? Do you have South Sudanese ISP? Do you have? I don't have any idea about what happened when you split in two countries. So what happened for the internet?
Yeah, internet. We have internet in South Sudan. We have South Sudanese who are internet providers. There. We have foreign companies from Kenya, Uganda. There are so many of them, including other from the Western world, from China. All they are available. So access to internet are there. That's why when the government realized the presence of internet and is already raising a lot of echoes and check and balances, that's why it immediately rushed to form these regulations, which is really to give a high price in licensing internet services. And the reason because they realize like what is happening in North Africa, in Egypt, what is happening in Egypt, in Tunisia, it may happen in our country, it will happen in Uganda. So the internet is available there, but the only thing is that the regulations are really very tough. That's why we feel with our presence, having 5 seats in the National Constitutional Review Commission, and being as a lawyers, actually, by the way, we are all lawyers in the organization that we're working on, we feel we have big opportunity of influencing legal framework for securing internet governance freedom in South Sudan.
Thank you very much. Okay, you mentioned that you're personally banned to use social networks. Can you tell us how that happened and how is that implemented?
How that is done in such a way that we have 2 social media, Twitter and Facebook, where 5 are banned. What the government did is that the government, it's become a common practice in the world that the government hire their agencies. And the agencies involve even our friends. Like, I'll put up a Twitter in different way that does not represent me, but what they will do is they'll try to realize who are the networks that I'm tweeting with, who are my colleagues. Then what they do is they infiltrate my friendship, and then later on they will realize that. And of course with Facebook it's very easy, they can know where I am. That's how they implement it. And then the risk is that always they'll keep on targeting the friends they fall as the victims of situation. Maybe because they feel we know the legal loopholes, then we can challenge them as a lawyers, then they target our colleagues. That's why our board resorted to ban us the 5 that we should not use Twitter and Facebook, but the other social media we use. So that is how it's split. Thank you.
Another question. You mentioned that the government would tamper with the process or idea of this project and with the implementation as one of the risks. Can you tell me more? Why do you think that would happen?
That will happen in the sense that we feel our government have realized that internet is a strong tool of really calling public or even really bringing up public to make check and balance on the government. So what they did is that, as I've mentioned before, is that they really have their own agents that they have recruited to do that. So these agencies, if they realize we're doing that, this is an assumption. We assume that the security apparatus may come in to block us in that. That's why, how do we mitigate? We mitigate we're going to use United Nations Mission in South Sudan Security Sector Unit, which is really engaging with our security organs in different sections. So we're going to use them to make sure that we mitigate this risk if it comes up. But I wish it may not come, because this is an assumption, which is between either it will happen or it will not happen.
And can you tell us more about the constitutional process? Where is that right now on the overall map? Is it at the early beginning, or and where your project comes into the game, and what's the most crucial part that you see that your project can bring the value added?
Yeah. The constitutional process have not yet kicked on. The good thing is that the government delayed the mandate, and for us as activists, that's on the good news. They have not yet started the process. As I said, is that we have 5 seats in the constitution. So if it kick on, the opportunity we have is that at least we have 5 seats as activists within the commission. So we can influence. We represent votes within the commission if it comes to democratic votes. So at least we can influence the decision. That's one. What is the added value? The added value will be that if we get the grants for managing this project, then the issue of internet governance challenges, legal framework, which you have had just in the morning session, I think we can sort it out. That one is an opportunity that's the added value, that we can sort it out and can be replicated in other nations if other activists can realize the way how we use as activists in South Sudan by really fighting for legal framework that provides freedom of internet in the constitution. So later on, we can come up with the rest of the bills. So that's the added value that we have presence in the constitution.
Thank you. And one last question would be, do you know, and sorry for my ignorance, what's the internet penetration in South Sudan?
The internet penetration is very high. I can't say it's not below 50%. The internet penetration is very high in South Sudan, simply because most of the young South Sudanese have been to the Western world. We take a lot of refuge for these 21 years in the fighting. We've been in East Africa. Some of us travel to Europe. Some travel to Asia. So at least technology, the digital technology, we have access to as a young youth. That's why it's easy for us now. We find ourselves at risk because the government realized these guys are in back to the home and they know the technology and they may use this technology for check and balances.
Thank you very much, and then Edmund, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Edmund. Up for our final presentation, we have a research project on gender inequality and internet use in Azerbaijan. And our presenter is Dr. Katie Pierce. She's assistant professor at the University of Washington.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, we were running over from another presentation, so not all my team members are here, but I hope to represent them well. So as you heard, our project looks at internet freedom issues and gender inequality here in Azerbaijan. We're a team of 4 women. I'll tell you a little bit more about our team, and maybe they'll even be here to introduce themselves in a moment. So, okay, it's not just on screen. So our study looks at Azerbaijan. Normally when we present on Azerbaijan, we have to produce a map. We do not have to do that today, thankfully. To tell you a little bit about Azerbaijan, where you are at, this is a small post-Soviet petro-state. This is a state that has been dominated by a father-son presidential team for since 1993. And in the last number of years, it's grown more and more repressive. So within Azerbaijan, there are a great deal of barriers to using the internet for political participation here. The internet, while it is open here, there are very little blocks. In fact, this allows the government, through its openness, to, in fact, make examples out of people that even engage in mild dissent online. If you're interested in this topic, our research team works on this fairly extensively. So at this point, we want to turn to a tremendous inequality that exists in this country, both for political participation and for internet use, and that is for women. Hopefully this looks okay on your small screens. If not, I can send you a link to it. But I just want to point out that there are tremendous gender differences in access to technology here in Azerbaijan. And this is analysis that I've done of nationally representative public opinion data. So as you can see more broadly, that just about anything related to the internet, frequent use, Facebook use, Odnoklassniki, which is a popular Russian social networking site use, 3/4 of users in Azerbaijan are men. Only 1/4 of users of these tools are women. In terms of ever having used the internet, which means that you could have used it once 5 years ago, it's not a very useful measure, but you can see that while 30% of Azerbaijani men have used the internet at least once, only 14% of Azerbaijani women have. There's not big differences in mobile phone use, but we imagine that is a little bit more of a leash than tremendous use. So with this, you have to say, okay, so there's gender inequality in Azerbaijan in tech use. What's the problem here? Well, what's important to acknowledge in Azerbaijan is because of the way that the regime is organized and because it's a government-owned media system, the internet is truly the only place in Azerbaijan where political imagination can take light. While you would not go as far as to say that the internet is reforming politics in Azerbaijan, it truly is the only free space for expression and for receiving information here because the government controls the media. With this, we have to ask about women. Generally, in authoritarian societies and in democratizing societies, we argue that women can be a force for positive change towards democratization. And while that may be the case here in Azerbaijan, because women are less likely to use the internet, they're not only denied access to the internet, but they're denied access to the only political space available to them, which is amplifying the inequalities that exist. So, oops, I'm sorry, I slipped aside. So what do we want to do about this? Our proposal is with a larger goal of increasing both political participation offline and online here in Azerbaijan. How we'd like to do this specifically is first examine and analyze the roots. This is one of my team members who just came in from our other presentation. Examine and analyze the roots of women's online marginalization and the repercussions and outcomes of exclusion from the Azerbaijani political scene by looking at the obstacles and barriers that women are facing in accessing and using the internet. Secondly, we want to provide recommendations to increase women's internet use. Although most of our team are academics, and this is a research project, and although it does absolutely nothing for our academic careers or obtaining tenure, we are completely dedicated to this region, and it is very important to us that we share our research findings with people that can do something about it. Also, we want to increase awareness and understanding amongst local and international actors, donor community, development agencies, about the obstacles and barriers that women face here. And finally, we want to bring attention to the gender inequalities in internet use and contribute to efforts to make the internet more accessible to women. And this is true in Azerbaijan, but also in the world overall. Azerbaijan is certainly not alone in women having trouble accessing the internet and having political access to politics. And so our findings here could hopefully make changes for findings for women in policy recommendations for women everywhere. So how we plan to do, how do I go back on this? Can you, other side, oh, thank you. So how do we plan to do this? In a research project. We've already secured bids from 3 firms to conduct focus groups here in Azerbaijan in early 2013. We would do focus groups here. We would do focus groups capital city, regional city, and rural areas. We would do focus groups with women and men separately. We would do focus groups with both internet users and non-users. Although there is some work done on women's use of the internet, it is impossible to find works from women who don't use the internet. We need their voices to be heard, and so it's really important that we access them as well. We would also do in-depth interviews with relevant stakeholders and women across the country. After we get these findings, we would do a constant comparative analysis. We would write the report, and in the summer of 2013, we would publish the report online, available to anyone, digitally in English, Russian, and Azerbaijani. And then we would go on a campaign to promote the report and its findings to relevant stakeholders, in particular using social media. Our entire team is quite the social media fans. So our team, just briefly, it's 2 academics who are standing in front of you. We are American academics. but we exclusively focus on issues of technology within this particular region. Because we've been focusing on this region for over a decade, we have language skills and in-country networks. Unlike a lot of research projects that just pop in the country, see what's there and write a report, we're committed. We really care about this region. We know this region. This is incredibly important to us as people and as professional academics. Our two research members who are having problems getting into the building right now because of their involvement in such projects, but they are outside in the hallway if you'd like, or outside the doors if you'd like to talk with them later. They're both well-known female Azerbaijani intellectuals, well-known writers about women's issues and technology. One is a PhD student at George Mason University, and the other is a journalist in Turkey. They have years of experience in women's advocacy here. So we feel as a group, we bring the skills to the table to make this project happen. So why should you fund this project? Well, little is known about barriers to women's use of technology globally, not just in Azerbaijan, but globally. Secondly, doing rigorous research using sophisticated methodological techniques will provide insights that we can't get from just having sad stories. We have stories about, it's very common for brides in Azerbaijan to give up their Facebook passwords to their fiancés, for example. Those stories are very sad. But having empirically driven findings to support and contextualize those findings is incredibly important too. Also, as I mentioned, we are committed to sharing the results with policymakers and making recommendations for stakeholders. We aren't just academics sitting in our comfy chairs. We like our comfy chairs, but we want to make sure that people that can do something about these problems have our research findings at hand. Finally, secondly, this is a highly sustainable project. These findings will last for a long time. Will involve training graduate students here in Azerbaijan and in the US who will have access to the data and be writing on these projects themselves. This really lasts forever. And the training that these students receive will last for their career lifetimes as well. Oops, one more back. Can someone click it one more back? Others back. Oh, others. Ooh. Sorry, this is a very back. Sorry, last slide. Sorry. Yes. This is a very confusing little device. Okay, so finally, the research findings could illuminate problems that are faced not only by women here in Azerbaijan, but 50% of the world's population. And so it's really important that we acknowledge that. So with that, I had a slide of very sad Azerbaijani children that you missed, but with that, we thank you very much and we welcome questions.
Thank you very much, Katie. Nagat, do you have any questions? Wait.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Katie. I feel that this is a very important issue, women and ICTs. But I'm slightly concerned about the acknowledgement of this research, which is coming from the outsiders and not by the Azerbaijanis itself. So you told us that there are two participants who are Azerbaijanis, but they are having problems getting in, right? So if they are having problems getting in this building, I mean, how do you see the level of acceptance of their research, for the policymakers and for other stakeholders?
That's a great question. I mean, this is an issue. I mean, I can tell you, it is incredibly difficult for us to do research in this region. This is something, though, that we've been dealing with for years. So it's a challenge. I will say that our teammates out there, so I do understand. In doing cross-cultural research is always challenging. And that's why we do partner with locals. As I mentioned, we work in this region all the time, so we're not just popping in. However, in terms of accessing people, I think that our team has credibility with policymakers outside of Azerbaijan, with the development community, with the NGO community here, in terms of being able to access, for example, the Ministry of Education here that might be interested in this, for example, for training girls in secondary and primary school. It's a barrier we're going to have to face. That's why we're ensuring that all of our materials will be translated into local languages. And we also have had some initial conversations with organizations here and NGOs, women's NGOs here, that have agreed to act as a broker for us with government officials, that they might have that the government might have a fonder view of those NGOs than they do of us. So as best as we can do, we're trying to work with that problem.
Thank you very much. Al?
So thank you for your presentation. I think it's an important matter, the access of women for the technology, and I agree with you that it's a common worldwide problem. I have a small question about your specific objectives that you mentioned. You mentioned like 5 or 6 objectives. What are the metrics that you will use to evaluate the realization of those objectives?
It's a great question. Talking about measurement and evaluation of research is always challenging, because unlike if we run a training for people where you can say after the training 25 people were trained, measuring the impact of research, it can be years before you see the effect. So acknowledging that it is incredibly difficult to measure the outcomes of research and the effectiveness, what we're using for a proxy is that we would give questionnaires and query our stakeholders if the findings were useful for them. We would continue to monitor NGO activities and any reports or policy reports that seem to integrate our findings, and also in terms of the sharing of the document, accessing to the website, we would run Google Analytics on our website and monitor using Topsy and TweetReach and those sort of tools to see the amount of sharing. Certainly, does sharing mean that we're seeing change? Not necessarily, but given that it's hard to measure the short-term impact of research, it's the best we can do, given that.
I would like to ask, if we assume that the research is conducted, what's the reality? And coming from the first morning session, which was quite ended on a quite intensified note, and having your colleagues staying outside of this building, my question would be, if this research is published, what are the possibilities of the local women rights organizations to use this report to push for their advocacy effort realistically? I mean, what we are talking about here, and I'm interested in the stakeholders based in Azerbaijan struggling for their rights.
Yeah. This is really a concern for us as well. We have deep concerns for research team members and for research assistants. Their safety is the most important thing to us. Thankfully, our 2 Azerbaijani team members happen to hold passports to other countries, which allows them a much higher degree of safety. Also, because they worked as activists for years, they know what they're getting into. In terms of organizations that would partner with us in country, I think this morning is an excellent example for those of you that weren't there. The report that they published this morning contained a great deal of our work, just as evidence that organizations here aren't afraid to work with us. Granted, those are organizations that are working in internet issues, but thankfully, with our team members especially having so much long-term credibility, they have expressed to potential partner organizations that we're not the purist-driven snow to work with. Yes, please.
Also, I just want to add that the nature of this particular project is far less political than the kind of things that may be keeping our research associates from accessing the building, or what Hadija said this morning. This is a study of gender disparity and gender equality online, which I don't think has the kind of political ramifications that perhaps are being interpreted. I think actually it might interest people, government members in Azerbaijan, because this is a problem affecting 50% of their population. What direction things go in after, is a different story. But in terms of just, eliminating that gender disparity in access, I think that's something almost everybody would agree is a beneficial proposition for Azerbaijan, and in terms of, the applicability to the study elsewhere, it's beneficial for the world.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes all the questions from the judging panel. No. So yes, thank you very much, Katie. Thank you very much, Sarah.
maybe you can join me in giving our presenters one more round of applause. They did an excellent job, and I just really want to thank them. Thank you, guys. Thank you. In fact, they did so well sticking to our time constraints. We've ended an hour early. And rather than concluding so far in advance, and since we actually have the bounty of having Sonia Kelly, who is the managing director of the Freedom on the Net report, and we also had several audience members come in a little bit late, what we're going to do is invite all of the presenters to come back up to the front and sit in a panel of chairs that we're going to set up. And we're going to invite the audience to ask your questions. So we'll just go for another 20 minutes if the questions sustain it. So we'll still end a little bit early, and we can go see the flag raising ceremony, and of course go off to the wonderful receptions that are being held tonight. But again, Sonia, if you'll grace us with your presence up here and help us see the kind of global trends that all of these presentations highlighted and that you saw.
Gigi, can you just provide information when, why, and we will publish the winners, and before we continue,
Sure.
please.
Sure. Well, as you know, today is the pre-event day, and we have 4 more days of actual IGF sessions ahead of us. So to keep you on your toes and the edge of your seat, we're going to hold the announcement of the winners until November 10th, which is Saturday. The Freedomhouse delegation is actually having a wrap-up session to discuss post-engagement strategies for continued advocacy around internet governance issues at the local, regional level, and that's when we'll have a small ceremony to acknowledge them. Anyone's welcome to come. We'll be at the Atrapat Hotel, but we'll make the announcement through a press release and social media announcements. I don't know if, Danilo, you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Okay, and the U.S. ambassador in Azerbaijan will be announcing the winners. So.
Right. So luckily, Ambassador Richard Morningstar agreed to come and make that announcement, which will be very special. But we would love to have a big audience there.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Gigi, for this. I'm going to.
Did you want to sit up front, or?
I think this is all right.
Okay, great. So you guys will be in the hot seat, and Sonia will look at you from over.
I would like to thank Gigi and my colleagues here for organizing a very interesting and interactive event. I know that I was quite inspired by several proposals, or for that fact, with all of the proposals and their ability to really make a difference in their countries. I think all of the presentations that we've heard today reflect also the findings of Freedomhouse's study that was recently released on internet freedom. And one of the things that we showcased is that threats to internet freedom are increasing and becoming more diverse. Considering that we have heard very interesting things from our colleagues, I would like to also use this opportunity to open up the panel to questions from the audience. For example, if there is anything that you would like to ask either about the projects or about the situations in the countries in which our panelists live or work, this would be a great opportunity. To start up the discussion, I would like to ask each of the panelists if you could tell me what are the top 2 threats to internet freedom in your country of interest, and what do you think the international community could do to help address that problem? I'm not going to pick anyone at the outset, so is there someone who would like to start, and then we can move on? Go ahead, Anas.
Physical security of the people who are using the net or activists online. This is like number 1. And like limitation of access to some certain important websites. Like, I'm not sure if you know that all the media, everything that media on Wikipedia is blocked in Syria. So you cannot see any of the pictures if you're browsing without proxy or whatever. Thank you.
In that case, we'll continue with the order here.
Yeah, in my country, South Sudan, one is the high pricing of licensing internet providers. That's one of the threats. The second is now the government is turning against internet freedom activists. These are the really two top threats, which have a lot of implications, if I were to explain further.
In my country, I think the problem is the new administration. Okay. Hello? Okay. It's okay? Okay. In my country, in Egypt, I think the problem is the new administration ideological group. They are not believe in freedom. Maybe they promote that for Western countries, but they don't believe in that. In the near future, I think after our constitution will develop and the new laws, I think they will block a lot of websites and will attack us. This okay.
Well, from my country, the greatest problem is government hacking in our databases and our conversations on online, and surveillance and character assassinating. What I didn't mention in my presentation is sometimes government goes ahead and acts in its own websites and then claims that sexual minorities are hacking our websites. Case in study, we had a beach pride in August this year, where I happened to be the face of pride. So what government did, they got my picture when you're marching at the beach, and they posted the Prime Minister's website that gays want their rights. Then they wanted to bring a charge on us that we're hacking their website, to demand for our rights. But then it was investigated, and somehow it just disappeared. They never mentioned anything more since that day.
For Myanmar, the biggest threat would be the legislation itself, because it really threatens internet freedom. For example, we have an electronic ad that could sue a person to 5-year sentence if we had a laptop with a connection to the internet. So we need to review all those legislation. And then another threat would be the accessibility, because the penetration rate is already very low in our country. And of course, digital illiteracy would be also one of the factors.
My project is global, but I would like to speak about a specific case of Poland and European Union. So what I'm afraid the most is the bad law, bad legislation, because a few years ago governments didn't care about internet. The politicians didn't understand the role of internet. They didn't understand what is this tool for. Now they understand that this is very powerful tool, and I am afraid that even in our Western society, in the well-developed countries, we can have more and more problems with people which have a power to control. My afraid is about governments, about corporations.
I think the greatest threat is state surveillance and intimidation, which leads to people being afraid and to people censoring themselves. Azerbaijan technically has a free internet, but a free internet is of very little use to people who are not free.
Thank you very much. So it seems like that we have a variety of problems here, ranging from access to new legislation that restricts internet freedom, to practices by governments such as surveillance. I did notice this aspect of new legislations emerging in several of your presentations and then also in our research. So one of the projects, at least the project on South Sudan, is actually proposing to fight for new and better laws, because there is particularly now a special opening in a new country such as South Sudan. So I think there is definitely a window of opportunity there. I do have one question before I open it to the audience, and it is specifically about South Sudan. I think the project that you're proposing is extremely valuable, and it really has huge, huge potential. At the same time, to be honest, one thing that really struck me was $15,000 is not a lot of money, and you're really proposing to influence major legislation. How realistic is that?
In the side of South Sudan, one of the things is that I don't think money is the source of influence, or money is the power to influence decision. This 15,000, we're not going to use only 15,000, but we have our own connections as an organization. One, there's a big presence of diplomatic mission in South Sudan. We're going to use their presence. And secondly, we're engaged with EU human rights facility. So if we can secure this 15,000, we can knock doors of others that already from Freedomhouse, we have secured this amount of money. And please, we need more to go beyond the level of 15,000. That is one. Secondly, Adam Smith International is a firm which we have worked with them, and they're now been contracted to build our national security policy. And we have direct connection. So if we fail in the constitution process, we can attack in the national security bill. If we fail in the national security bill, we can sort it out in the media bill. So we have a lot of options that this 15,000 can help us. So the only thing is now, how wise are we in using this 15,000? So for me, I didn't believe that money is a source of making a change. It's a commitment of us as an organization with a little to make a change.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to ask the audience, are there any questions that you would like to ask our panelists? Please raise your hand. Let's start with Alexei here.
May I ask two questions? The first one is regarding Syrian project. As far as I understand your presentation, you plan to have few VPN servers, and it means you will have a limited set of IP addresses. So for government, it should not be a big problem to block them all. How will you deal with this problem?
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, it's in the plan that we have some dying DNS that we can always change the IP addresses. Also, there are some specific ways of encrypting the traffic. I can share this technical information, but this will be very bit hard to just like discuss it in public. So I can provide you with that later if you want. What was the other question? Not for me or for someone else? Sorry.
Thank you. Second question is not for you. Second is regarding Uganda project. Do you think that gathering all minority people in one place to make them secure is a bit insecure? I mean, if you single out the group of people who are on the street, it makes them more visible. It's easier to attack them. How think you should deal with this problem?
Apparently, the problem has been with holding meetings in public places, say like known hotels and in guest houses. But now we're having an approach of meeting 6 participants for 3 days every week in their secure places. These organizations will be shut down long time, but because government doesn't know where these organizations are, as I said, they are in a mix of residential places, residential houses. I think it's going to be secure because these are already there secure places where government doesn't know, and that's why we want to take the trainings instead of going to public where government can just come land on us in a even big number. Thanks.
I will use my role of the moderator to actually ask one follow-up question for the colleague from Uganda. So what would happen if the government actually caught you doing this training?
Because there is no legislation pertaining people assembling, what happens when they land on us, they just close down the workshop, and maybe they arrest the organizers, but this is just for a few days to take statements, but they don't arrest participants. What they do is to sabotage the trainings and maybe to stop the trainings, but they don't do arrests to participants.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the audience? Let's see. As the audience is thinking of additional interesting things, let me ask Lukasz from Poland. I found your game very interesting and quite frankly something that I would love to play myself. But it sounded like that your target audience are actually school children and that you wanted to distribute the game to schools. I'm curious in terms of the difficulty of doing that. I mean, in most of the countries, actually, school curriculums are quite regulated. So to which extent would you be able to actually distribute this in schools?
Because the game will be posted online on the internet. The main thing is to get to the peoples, to the students with the information. With the information, they can find the game, then that they can find campaign clicking on the link. So as I said, it will be different steps of engagement of schools. So the really first step is as I can imagine, a teacher who talks even in the last minutes of classes about the campaign and provide the link. It's quite enough for the beginning, but we will provide another so-called edu kit pack of informations for the teachers, so they can provide to the pupils a survey, and it will be another actions. Proposal for the teachers. That's why, I think it is possible to reach to catch the audience of the pupils, and not only pupils, because I didn't have a time to talk that at the same time we'll have this school program. Our PR coordinator will be try to catch the audience of the internet users using some viral campaign in social networks, because I really hope that it will be attractive not only for pupils, not only for the young. If it will be attractive for the young people, it will be attractive also for adults, I think.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask my colleague from Egypt here. When Freedomhouse evaluated internet freedom in Egypt, and we have been doing that for several years now, we have noticed a very interesting trend. So during the Mubarak era, internet was ranked as partly free. Yet when the regime change happened and when SCAF came to power, it seemed that certain things were actually getting worse. So more bloggers were imprisoned, they were tried in military trials, some people were attacked, and quite worrisome things were actually recorded in our research. Our research actually ended its coverage period in May, so everything that happened after May will be actually published next year. So I was wondering if you could update us on the situation since the presidential elections, and what has happened after May, and whether your outlook is more positive or more negative.
Thanks. The problem is in our country now, the Muslim Brotherhood is taking charge of the country, and they play the game of Mubarak, but in another way. That they try to promote that they are with freedom of expression, with freedom of internet, and didn't change anything, just talking. And the other thing is added is Muslim Brotherhood people, not in the government. I mean in the street. There is a lot of groups now. They try to attack internet activists through a lot of things, till they try to make trouble for him, or to make like a case in the court against him. It's not government. It's not the president. It's only normal people. Not only Muslim Brotherhood, but also Salafis is try to do the same. For now, if you write your idea online during Mubarak, I'm afraid from national security, but now I'm afraid from national security, Muslim Brotherhood groups, Salafis, and I'm not afraid only to go to the jail. I'm afraid that they can hurt me or my family. And I think there's a lot of examples. Maybe I can support you by sending you a lot of links to support the next report, but it's a public, it's online. A lot of people are afraid like me.
Thank you very much. Do we have a question from audience?
Thank you. I'm called Lilian Naroga. I come from Uganda. Mine is not a question, it's just more of a comment and some sort of support to my brother in Southern Sudan. I work for the Collaboration International ICT Policy in Eastern Southern Africa, and I think there was a question that was raised on the issue of the 15,000 being, money that may not be enough to fund the project. From a policy, I'm a policy researcher and ICT policy researcher, and to me, I think the 15,000 is quite a lot. It can do beyond that, because with a country as new as Southern Sudan, a lot is happening and no one is documenting what is happening there. So to have someone from South Sudan come here and represent their country and be able to go into a field, an area that has not been experimented or researched on, to me, it's a great idea and I fully support it. And just to let you know that we at CIPESA, we do have your back. Even if you don't win this project, you can always come to us and we work together. Thank you.
Well, we definitely appreciate the wide support that the projects are getting here. One thing that really was interesting for me was when another panelist asked our colleague from South Sudan about internet penetration rates, and I remember you said something around 50%. I tried to look it up, and because quite frankly the number seemed high, and I was not able to find that information, in part because not even such basic data as internet penetration is available for a new country such as South Sudan. So I really want to highlight the importance of research in a place like South Sudan in order for us to truly understand the extent of problems, not only when it comes to legislative aspects, but then even most basic aspects of internet governance, internet infrastructure, and so on. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Would you be able to discuss issues, whether that be the internet governance and particularly freedom of expression on the internet, which is a huge problem in your country?
Thank you for the question. And for us, we have been organizing such events since like 2007, and for example, to how freely we can address the issue. I would like to give an example of the bar camp that we had done since 2010. Bar camp is a sort of an unconference where sections are not pre-registered, so it's like it's very open, and people can discuss about the things they want. So in 2010, while our government isn't opening yet, we managed to have a bar camp with topics, variety of topics coming, like internet circumventions, internet freedom of expression online. We have discussed on topics like that since 2010. So now it's opening up. I think we can speak up more and voice up more. So I think at the forum, I believe that it will be very open and free.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask Sarah here, who studies Azerbaijan closely. Obviously, Azerbaijan is hosting this IGF, and there has been so much controversy about this decision to hold it in a country that has such strong authoritarian tendencies and that ranks only as partly free in Freedom House's surveys. I'm curious about your opinion. Do you think that the fact that IGF is taking place here, do you think that it's going to help internet freedom activists in the country? Or, and do you think that this is going to actually highlight some of the abuses that happen, particularly when it comes to arrests of bloggers and journalists? Or do you think that not much is going to change, and in fact that IGF is just going to increase the profile in the country and provide additional legitimacy to the government?
I don't think it's going to, is this on? I don't think it's going to provide additional legitimacy to the government. However, I think you bring up a really important point, which is that while it might highlight authoritarian tendencies and practices right now when it's in the spotlight because of IGF, this is often forgotten, and we saw this earlier in the year with Eurovision. So I think that one of the opportunities we have here is to continue the coverage of Azerbaijan's human rights violations and political practices well after IGF has ended. So I'd like to see IGF as kind of another starting point for a conversation that should continue over time.
Thank you very much. Do we have any additional questions from the audience? If not, I'm going to ask my final concluding question, and I'm going to pose it to Anas from Syria. Could you give us the most recent update on the situation in Syria, particularly when it comes to the internet? When our researchers did their work in Syria trying to assess the latest internet freedom issues there, they faced quite a few difficulties, both in research, but then also in some of the most basic things, like being able to actually access the internet, let alone think about censorship things because of the precarious situation in the country.
Actually, there are some more important problems for some areas that they don't have even electricity for days. So internet would be like the last thing that they would think about. They need necessities like bread and food. So for the details of the internet, I don't know about like all around, because I don't know exactly what is happening all the time. But I can just only relate that many people are like, when they go into like when they are arrested, now the government is like trying to get more information before the others know that they are arrested, because they will even get more information from whatever Facebook pages they're part of, whatever contacts they've made with others. But if you want like details like that, I'm sorry, I don't have much information about that.
All right, thank you very much. I would just like to express again my gratitude to all of the panelists and all of the competitors in this challenge. As I mentioned, I'm personally very impressed with all of their proposals, and regardless of whether they get an award from Freedom House, I hope that at least some people in the audience will talk to them, and hopefully their presentations will spur additional conversations and potentially additional funding as well. I'm going to turn over microphone to my colleague Gigi if she's here in the room. With that, I would like to ask you to give applause to all of our participants.
So I get to share the happy news that everyone gets to go home. And thank you so much for coming. If you have further questions, I'm really glad we have the next 4 days to spend time together and get to know each other. And of course, that was fantastic to have someone step forward and say, of course we can only award at least 2 grants, and so we'll have some other presenters who could have fantastic conversations with you about maybe how you could fund them with this project or future ones, and we're always here to support them. Thank you very much.